Hey there, my name is Alex, I am the Silvermont, and in this video we're going to be talking about the upcoming Monster Hunter World expansion, Iceborne. And fittingly, it's very windy outside, I apologise if you hear that. We're a ways from release, but I thought it'd be fun to speculate about what we might get, and more importantly, talk about what we want from this expansion. I'm a newcomer to Monster Hunter. World was my first proper Monster Hunter, and I'm very into it. So my wants might well be different from yours if you're, say, a complete newcomer who wants to get into Monster Hunter but hasn't yet. Or maybe you're a veteran who's been hunting G rank for years. First up, what do we know is coming in Iceborne? A continuation of the story, new areas, new monsters, and new moves. Obviously, at least one or more of the new areas will be ice themed, which is a natural fit. If you've played World, you'll probably notice there's, one monster that does ice damage in the whole game, Legiana, and it didn't take a genius to figure, well, that's what we'd be getting, ice or water themed areas. The base game has the Ancient Forest, Wildspire Waste, Coral Highlands, Rotten Vale, and the Elder's Recess. I feel like we'll get 2, maybe 3 new areas in the expansion. Will they all be ice themed? Well, I'm sure they'll be cold in some way, but I'm hoping Capcom will keep them diverse and interesting. The Ancient Forest always stood out to me in the base game as being very complex and corridor based compared to the other maps. I think Wildspire Waste is probably my favourite, incidentally, but what do we want from the new ones? Well, less obvious corridors that monsters travel through would be nice, and I don't really care for the overly complex nature of Ancient Forest. It's fun initially, but eventually it just becomes a bit of a nuisance to me. I'd love for the new areas to feature nice shortcuts, more than Ancient Forest where sometimes you're at the bottom, and then it decides, the monster that is decides to go to the top, and then you have to go all the way to the top. Even, using shortcuts with camps, it can feel a bit clunky to me. So more shortcuts, I think, would be good. Icy slopes you can slide down. How about melting part of the map? And I still think it would be excellent if we could harvest wedge beetles and plant them around the map at a cost of, I don't know, resource points, so that we have extra grapple areas. And it goes without saying we'll probably be needing some hot drinks. How about monsters? Well, people are saying the announcement teased Nagakuga, an original monster returning, and I'm fine with that. I hope they have a ratio of new and returning monsters that favours the new ones. For example, I'd like, 2 or 3 new monsters for every returning one. But more so than that, as they are technically all kind of new to me, I want more diversity in the monsters. The base game has so many damn wyverns, I want something else. More mammals, insects, arachnids, just less things that look like another Raytheon. Now, judging from that one picture they showed, I don't really recognise any of the armour sets in it, although one of them looks rather like the Anjanath set. Does that mean we're getting an upgraded or different Anjanath? For example, like a G rank one. Specifically, I'm talking about the pink one with scales and fur. Left of that we have a guy with what looks like a Winter Guild outfit, judging from the goggle type things and the belt. The sword and shield he is using too make me think they aren't tied to any monster but just a new ore tree. Of course I could be wrong, that's just an assumption. Right of maybe Anjanath, we have an awesome Viking looking dude with giant moose antlers and big furry pauldrons. I really like that one. I hope there's some sort of new moose monster, as I think that would be fun. Next up we have new moves. That's a very vague statement, but what I hope it means, something along the lines of Hunter Arts. Customizable special moves that you can equip for your weapon that work almost like supers or ultimates. Of course, some weapons have similar things to this already, but ultimates are all the rage right now in gaming, and I think they'd make a perfect addition. Flashy, satisfying, what's not to love? There are so many perfect ways to introduce them too. Hunter. These G-rank hunters have come in from the old world and want to pass on their techniques. Or maybe you're the one who comes up with them yourself and it varies depending on your weapon. Let's say you're using a greatsword, maybe you have to hunt a special Nergigante that showed up and observe it, basing a new martial technique from your examination. You know, kind of like how crane style, tiger style, things like that happened in the real world. People looked at animals and took inspiration from that for a way to punch someone else in the face. In practice, this would just be you doing a special hunt and then unlocking the ability. Having a meter fill up so you can unleash a special attack seems like a perfect fit to me. They could work exactly like Hunter Arts, or simply be using that as a base or a template, but I think it's a good idea to add a little something to the gameplay. World is a great entry for newcomers, such as myself back when I was a newcomer, and by the time you get to Iceborne, you'll be ready for something extra in the gameplay front. What do you think would make some good Hunter Arts or special attacks? I'd love to see a lance ability that works vaguely like a Shoryuken, the Rising Dragon attack Dante has in Devil May Cry. Basically, a multi-hit attack that goes straight up and then down with like a meteor spike. Kinda similar to the long sword's Helm Splitter, but in reverse. The long sword is like one hit up, many hits down. I want this to be many hits up, one hit down, but maybe it's too similar to that. Alternatively, I think it would be a great addition, not necessarily as a Hunter Art, but maybe just, I don't know, something like that, if teammates could jump off your shield when you're in a super block. Wouldn't that be awesome? I mean, your character's already on the ground, like assuming the position. Why can't someone else run up and springboard off you? Put that in right now, Capcom. How about other changes? Adding a little more insurance in terms of decoration farming might be nice. Now don't get me wrong, I don't mind working towards something, but when you can play for hundreds and hundreds of hours and not get a single decoration X or Y that you want for your build, it's kind of bizarre and frustrating, because you're entirely basing it on chance, and it's possible that you would just never get what you want, no matter how much you played. Adding a way to confirm those would be a lot better if you ask me. Even if it's something like, exchange 5 hero streamstones for an attack decoration. Just something. This could easily be added to the Melder, and I think it would be a great addition. It would also be nice if they added more ways to keep the game feeling fresh at endgame. How could they do this? Good question. Lots of options though. They could take hints from prior games and have things like the guild quests, simple ones that are things like fight all monsters that are red, or fight all monsters that are blue, fight all the biggest monsters, or fight a monster that's really small compared to usual. Or they could go for something more robust, like a weekly rotation of quests that give enhanced rewards and perhaps even have modifiers like the skulls from Halo, if you remember those, or kind of like the Nightfall in Destiny. You can get serious or wacky here. How about a modifier that makes 2 elements do 1000% more damage? Maybe the modifier is called Fire and Ice, and Fire element and Ice element both do 1000% more damage. So maybe Teostra's Fire will now be obscenely powerful, but so will your Ice damage against him. Maybe a giant monster modifier, a mini monster modifier, low gravity modifier, so you're sort of not floating around the map, but every time you jump, you're like, woo, through the air. And when a monster jumps, they are in risk of taking flight into orbit. You get the idea. Each week could have them bringing in 2 or 3 modifiers on a rotation. Doing that hunt gets you an enhanced reward, like, I don't know, a stream stone, or a token that once you have enough tokens you can hand them in at a vendor to get special items, you know? The other solution is just to have more content. World was a little limited compared to older games, as it had to kind of build everything from scratch, in a sense, whereas, say, Generations or XX or Cross, whatever it's called, kind of could just port things from all the other ones that were on the same kind of engine, you know? I'm not expecting any new weapons in Iceborne, and if they were announcing them they probably would have done so already, but I don't know. It'd be nice. Honestly, the only thing I'd want, weapon-wise, would be a proper spear. I don't think there's much chance of that being put in, considering the insect glaive fills a similar role. Then again, when you look at the 2 or 3 different bowguns and the gun lance, they could probably put in a traditional spear style weapon. It's funny to me that one doesn't exist, seeing as the spear is the oldest hunting weapon in the world. But what about other new features? Well, I think it'd be nice to have a more robust clan system, so to speak. I think small groups of hunters, say 2 to 16, should be able to form little clans or squads that play into the game in some form. Banners, patches or emblems for armor, maybe even some small gameplay perks like free meals for clan members once your clan has hunted enough high rank monsters, something like that, you know? Other than that, more customization. I want to have layered armor options for every armor in the game, and more colour editing abilities to finely tune the hunter's appearance. Because that is the true endgame, to be honest, the fashion. Cosmetic and vanity options are very appreciated, and they often don't take that much work, so I think it's a nice option to include for players who are interested in it, like me. There's a bevy of other smaller quality of life changes that might be nice too. How about letting us keep one cat if there's 3 hunters? Or, if somebody disconnects or leaves a hunt, let somebody else join in to replace them. There are times when you are in a hunt, people vanish, intentionally or not. But if there are 3 hunters, I don't see why the host's palico can't remain until a 4th player joins. Overall though, we want to cut down on tedious aspects and work on the things that make the game satisfying. Something I'd like to see on that note, whilst I enjoy Monster Hunter Solo, I find it way more fun with friends, and I want to see them work on that. How about having like a co-op move? Special ones that differ depending on the weapon combos. Maybe they activate automatically under certain conditions, similar to how when you jump and attack a monster, sometimes you will automatically mount if you have fulfilled the conditions. Or maybe you have to manually trigger them, but I think it would be an awesome thing to put in. Oh, and I want more turf wars, for sure. Those are fun. Finally, I would like to see more crossover events, as those are awesome. Namely, we need Dragon's Dogma and Breath of Fire crossover events. How have those not happened? These are 2 Capcom franchises that are all about dragons, and Monster Hunter World is like 90% dragons and they've not done a crossover. But what do you want to see in Iceborne? What moves, what areas, what monsters, old or new? Let me know. Capcom probably aren't going to see this, but hey, it's fun to speculate and talk about these things. And yeah, I've seen the weapon palico design contest. Looks pretty cool. Until next time though, you take care. Ciao.